Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo.
There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do?
I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault. A new series streaming now only on Peacock.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary listeners, heroes and heroines, crooks and crookians, young thug, the audio performance you are about to enjoy discusses casinos and gambling. We do not recommend gambling with money you cannot afford to lose or that is needed to pay bills. If you have a gambling problem, contact your problem gambling hotline. If you do not know how to contact your problem gambling hotline, send an email to help@casinocombat.com. We will find that number for you and provide it to you. Our hosts' past performances are not indicative of anyone's future results, including his own. All materials presented here are based on actual facts. Names and dates are changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. Some events, unrelated outcomes, may be omitted in the interest of brevity and clarity. The contents of this episode are the property of Volcanic Dingo LLC. All rights are reserved. It's me, it's TRG, the Ramblin Gambler, just trying to make a living and doing the best I can.
Lyrics, dude. Recite him some lyrics.
Played the hand I was dealt, that's a royal flush. I make grandmaster plans that are complex. Drop some cash on land and it's all plush. Or on sea for that matter. It works either way. Welcome to episode 152 of our Casino Combat Podcast. If this is your first time, if you were looking at your device and saw this podcast and thought, why not? I'll give it a try. Why not take a chance? You are in luck. You just had the luckiest day of your life. You just pulled the golden ticket. You were just invited to be part of a truly unique group of skilled gamblers willing to teach you how to win the game of casino gambling, and we do it for free. That's right. You are part of our squad for the low price of participating in our squad. Join us on Facebook in the Casino Combat Squad private group. Hang out with us in Vegas or on a cruise in the Bahamas. If you want to know how, email me, your never so humble host, TRG@casinocombat.com. Spell combat with a K. And ask how, ask when. We will teach you to win the greatest game ever invented by mankind, the game of casino gambling. And if this is your next time, welcome back. Sincerely, thank you for all the time and support you give our podcast, and thank you for the gift of your time. Each episode, I put together a little something I call the battle plan. The things we're going to talk about during this particular episode. I have an interesting one for us to share today, something I'm really excited about. We are going to start with a Core Koncepts segment and talk about house advantage on a game-by-game basis. I said 3 or 4 episodes back that we would, and I want to make that promises made, promises kept. After that, we have a very special guest with us to do a Moment of Koncepts segment. We were all hanging out in the virtual VIP lounge powered by Slack, and Lunky Drunk had some interesting musings on the nature of risk, aggression, and conservatism. I thought it was both brilliant and interesting, and I always like to have others bring us their thoughts directly when I can and when they're willing. Excelsior Brigade member Lucky Drunk was willing to press the record button and share his thoughts with us today. And a big thanks for that contribution. After that, I will be back with a Padawan parable, a very interesting Padawan parable in my never so humble opinion. The Youngling, the Path, and the Vanishing Master. And as always, we will finish up in the virtual VIP lounge with some sips and an interesting story about the young squire and a recent casino visit. There we go. Let's get started with a Core Koncepts segment. The core concepts of casino combat are the foundational ideas, the fundamental ideas, the things that I think are indispensable and essential to even begin trying to win the game of casino gambling. And one of those core concepts is to make wagers with a very small house advantage. And putting slots aside for a minute, that's its own discussion, and we've had that recently. But putting slots aside for just a moment, I don't believe that you can make wagers with incredibly large house advantage and have any hope of long-term sustained success. And I mentioned a couple of episodes back that we would break down the house advantage on a variety of wagers. And I just kind of said it off the cuff. I just kind of rambled it into existence, but I felt an obligation. I felt a necessity to do what I said I would do and to walk through those with you. And so I dug in and started doing some research, started looking at things, started hitting up ChatGPT, started hitting up wizardofodds.com and pulling together facts and numbers. And it's a very, very interesting thing to walk through. So let me start through this with you. And I confess, I don't necessarily have a super tight plan or approach here. And I thought we'd start with roulette. Roulette is one of the higher house advantage games on our list of house advantages. It's a much higher house advantage than, say, Baccarat, or obviously blackjack. So European roulette actually isn't too bad. European roulette has a standard house advantage of 2.7%, which is to say, in the way I like to think about it, if you spend $1 a spin on 100 spins, the house is expected to make $2.70. Add another zero to the wheel, and that jumps up to the house is expecting to win $5.26, or a 5.26% house advantage. Add a third zero, a triple zero, a third green spot to the wheel, and the house's advantage jumps to a whopping 7.69%. Not exactly a low house advantage wager. Not exactly a low house advantage wager that I would be making. And then I started looking at some of the carnival games, and there I was a bit surprised. I was educated and informed in doing the research when it came to some of the carnival games. Ultimate Texas Hold'em is 2.19% house advantage, an expected loss of $2.19 per 100. Not bad. Pai Gow Poker, and this is always Pai Gow Poker when I'm in Las Vegas or Atlantic City and cocktails are complimentary. If I happen to be waiting for Mrs. TRG to get ready for dinner or something like that, I would often play Pai Gow or Pai Gow Poker with a low 1.5% house advantage for Pai Gow, and for Pai Gow Poker, 1.46% house advantage. Very low, very beatable. One of the advantages there is that Pai Gow, if you just set your cards the quote house way, which you can always ask them to do, you're going to have a ton of pushes. You're going to have a ton of hands that don't resolve where you just keep your money. Enjoy your cocktail and watch the world go by. Let it ride. 3.51%. And I've shared Dr. ECE, PhD, Inner Circle member, fourth to the ring. I've shared his Let It Ride strategy, which is interesting, which is useful, which I enjoy every time I get a chance to try it, approaching a 4% house advantage, just on the edge of what I consider something I want to try to take on and try to tackle. Casino War. A couple different numbers here. Don't see Casino War an awful lot, but Casino War, when you go to war on a tie, is a 2.88% house advantage. And when you surrender on ties, it is a 3.7% house advantage. A game based on the movie Las Vegas Vacation, and then the casinos adopted. I don't see it as much anymore, but not a horrible house advantage for that very kind of bizarre game. Then we get into some of our more standard things. Baccarat, very low house advantage, as you know. If you don't want to learn blackjack basic strategy and you want a game you can find almost anywhere that is very, very beatable, Baccarat, the player wager is a 1.24% house advantage, and the banker wager is a very low 1.06% house advantage. Very, very low. Craps is interesting because craps, you can look at house advantage in a number of different ways. You can look at the house advantage for craps per roll, or for craps per bet made, or for craps per bet resolved. And they have very, very different numbers. The pass line per roll is 0.42%, very, very low, very, very low. Per bet made is 1.41%, still low, and per bet resolved is also 1.41%. On the don't pass line, we're at 0.4 per roll, 1.36 per bet made, and 1.4 per bet resolved. If we place the 6 and the 8, we have a 0.46 per roll, 1.36% per bet made, and 1.4% per bet resolved. All these very, very low. The 5 and 9, if we place the 5 and 9, there's a 0.46 per roll, there is 0.46 per bet made, there is 1.52% house advantage per bet resolved. Placing the 4 or the 10, we get 1.67% per roll, 1.67% per bet made, and a whopping 4% per bet resolved. And of course, then we could buy the 4 and the 10, and boy, this gets complicated because we could buy the 4 and the 10 when we place the bet, and that gives us one set of house advantage numbers. Or in some casinos, you pay that VIG, you buy it by paying your $1 per $20 after you win, and that pushes us down to a very low 1.19 per bet made, and 4.76 per bet resolved. And there's the point that I want to make here. I've only run through a few of the craps bets. I've run through the most common and lowest house advantage wagers. We can get into all kinds of crazy stuff on craps. We can be hopping this and we can be world that. And there are all kinds of other wagers. Most craps tables have over 160 different wagers. And almost everything, to my knowledge, let me throw that disclaimer in there, to my knowledge, most of the other wagers are very high house advantage. There's not wagers we're going to want to commonly and systemically make. And that is the interesting thing about craps. One little change in the rules, one little change in the procedure, one little change in something can move those house advantage numbers around a good bit, as we see with the difference in the house advantage. We really lower the house advantage if we buy the 4 and the 10 instead of placing the 4 and the 10. And that is a matter of knowledge, wisdom to an extent, and experience, and knowing what to ask for, because there really isn't anything on the table that tells you you can buy the 4 and the 10. And I'm not going to run through laying the 4 and the 10, and I'm not going to run through all the other it won't happen scenarios. Those are all low house advantage scenarios. Those are all, the dark side is a way to be a very, very smart craps player. Finally, let's dive into blackjack. And I am not going to run through all of this because it gets crazy. I went on Wizard of Odds and I started dialing in various combinations. 8 decks, 6 decks, 2 decks. Dealer hits soft 17. Dealer stands on soft 17. Surrenders allowed. Surrenders not allowed. Resplit aces. Don't resplit aces. Action after aces. No action after aces. It's nuts. Depending on the rules, you can get a house advantage as low as 0.2%. That's right. You can get a house advantage on a double deck game where the house stands on all 17 and there's surrender and there's resplit of aces, and you can get a house advantage of 2 cents per 100 wagered. Incredibly low. And at the same time, we can take an 8-deck game that pays 6 to 5 for blackjack, and the dealer hits soft 17, and there's no surrender, and there's no resplit of aces, and there's no doubling after splits, and we can get that house advantage up over 2%, just a little bit over 2%, 2.04%, $2 per 100. Wild swing there, right? As low as 2 cents expected loss per 100, or as high as $2 per 100 wagered. Big swings. And that's why paying attention to rules, and sometimes you will find these tables almost right beside each other. Certainly, Bally's would be a great example. You can find a really horrible blackjack game at Bally's in Atlantic City, or you can find the best rules anywhere in the country in Atlantic City, and often the difference is 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, and the table limit goes from 25 to 50, and you've reduced the house advantage by 1.8%. Just by taking those steps and having a bankroll that you can make a higher wager. Free bet blackjack, 6-deck, free bet blackjack, standard rules, 1.04%. Very playable, very, very beatable, and very bankroll protection friendly. Spanish 21, slightly different version of blackjack. 10s are taken out. You get paid on all 21s. Even if the house has 21, you don't push. There are advanced surrender features. A wonderful game where you can find it. If the dealer stands on soft 17, it is a 0.4% house advantage, 40 cents per 100. If the dealer hits on soft 17, it is a 0.76% house advantage, 76 per 100. A lot of cruise ships have something called Super Fun 21. And that is a 0.94% house advantage. It is a variation on the variation Spanish 21. And then the last one I wanted to talk about here is something that is considered a carnival game. It is called Red Dog or AC Doocy, and it is a 2.77% house advantage. Kind of in the middle of all the things that we've talked about here. And the reason I mention that is that 6-deck Red Dog or 6-deck AC Doocy is not something I think I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen the game played, except I always see the game played at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas, all over West Virginia and Pennsylvania, a few places in Atlantic City. A side bet on blackjack is called In Between, and it is exactly the same bet as the game Red Dog or AC Doocy. So let me explain how that wager works. You get 2 cards. The dealer has 1 card showing. If the dealer's card sequentially is in between your cards, let's take the easy example. You have a 2 and a king, and the dealer has a 7. Well, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, right? 7 is between a 2 and a king, and you would get paid even money. And the smaller the gap in the cards, the more you get paid. So if, for instance, you have a 3 and a 5, and the dealer has a 4, you would get like 18 to 1 on your wager. And if you and the dealer have exactly the same card, you have an 8 and an 8, and the dealer has an 8, you get paid 30 to 1. It is in some places a standalone game, as I said, called Red Dog, called AC Doocy, but it's called In Between on the blackjack table, and you know what? It's the only side bet I tend to make consistent. When I'm in a place or at a table that has this side bet, it is a side bet I make. The standard line is always side bets are a sucker bet. I don't believe this is a sucker bet, and the reason I don't believe that is because when I first saw the game offered at a casino I went to fairly regularly, Casino One, as a matter of fact, has it, and that's the first place I saw it. I looked up, I did the research, I spent some time, and I went 2.77%. That's not a sucker bet. That's a winnable bet. So I always buy in with some extra money. I buy in with 10 bets for that wager, and I do make that side bet because 2.77% is a wager size or a house advantage that I'm willing to be comfortable with. And it all illustrates the idea once again that, and this is PhD stuff, this is not beginner stuff. Don't obsess over all of it. Skip 6 to 5 blackjack and play blackjack. Play baccarat. You don't even need to know a basic strategy. Just wager. If you're just starting out, get comfortable with all of that. But at a more advanced level, to refine what you're doing, to do it at a higher level, to do it with an advanced set of skills, you really need to know the rules of the table and the corresponding house advantage, and in some cases, make table selection or wager size selection, or what building you play in selection based on the house advantage on the game that you're going to play. So we know an entire list of house advantage wagers. And you are walking by an Ultimate Texas Hold'em game, or you're on Liberty of the Seas with us and see a single zero roulette table, and you think both of those are less than 3% house advantage. That fits the Core Koncepts. That's a beatable game that provides good tier credits. All play. Sorry. I am sorry, but if I'm grading you, I'm giving you an F. Okay, no. I'm fair. Not an F. A D+. I mean, you are in class, you are participating, you are trying. A D+ is fair for that set of activities. Why? Because one of the core concepts is make wagers with a very small house advantage. But the next core concept is use a wagering process that includes both progressive and regressive components. And yes, on this script, I spelled components with a K. And all of that is to say, have a wagering process of increasing your wagers after a loss or a series of losses, and increase your wagers after a win or a series of wins. Have a process that includes progressive and regressive components with a K. In my never so humble opinion, you need all of the core concepts, and let's be honest, a few wisdoms thrown in to win the game of casino gambling. For some of these wagers, you could jump right in. That European roulette wheel on Liberty of the Seas, just bet black, do TRG2, always be grinding, you should be fine. Casino War, as I said, rarely see that game, almost never see it. I don't know, I haven't tried it, but I suspect, given the house advantage and the process of the game, which is very simple, I suspect TRG2 or TRG4 would beat it just fine. Heck, play TRG1 if you see it for low stakes. Play TRG1, the one, the only, just for fun, and I imagine it works just fine on a game of that simplicity. Craps, don't pass, and TRG4, win more, keep more, you will be just fine. Perhaps bored, but just fine. And I've been working on various core concept aligned craps strategies that are not as boring. And I shared my 6-8 craps approach that I'm happy with. I've been modifying it recently, been doing a little tinkering, and I'll probably share that with you in the very near future. On the other hand, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, I'll be honest, I don't have a clue how to bet that in a core concepts compliant way, which doesn't mean it isn't possible. I've never looked or tried to figure it out, but I don't know how, from my basic knowledge of the game, how I would begin to do that. So where does that leave us? I have several takeaways from this research. First, the core concepts are again invaluable and correct. We need to know the house advantage on the wagers we are going to make, and small rules variations can have a huge impact on the house advantage. Something as simple as buying the 4 and the 10 when the wager is made or when the wager is won can impact the house advantage in a truly meaningful way. One small change to the blackjack rules can swing the wager from playable to not playable, or from playable to walk across the street because those rules are much better and really lower the house's advantage. And finally, just a low house advantage wager is not enough to consistently win over time. You also need a wagering plan that follows the core concepts tailored to the game. And if you have all of that for Ultimate Texas Hold'em, please send it over. We are all very interested and would certainly love to sit under your learning tree and understand how you assembled all of that. Next up, Lucky Drunk is going to think big thoughts in a Moment of Koncepts segment.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind.
Thing means nothing.
What? A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination.
Hello, Casino Combat Squad. This is Lucky Drunk. So I was thinking about what it means to gamble cautiously for bankroll preservation versus gambling aggressively, going for that big win. And I was thinking about this in relation to the TRG wagering systems, and I came up with a point of view that I want to share with you all. I also want to use TRG Wagering System 3, the Meta Martingale, in particular, as a main example, because up till now, I viewed it as a more aggressive wagering system. Maybe the one that I'm most apprehensive about using. So, with that said, let's get started. For the first example, we are not going to use the Meta Martingale, but just use TRG wagering systems 1, 2, or 4. And for simplicity's sake, let's use a $10 unit size. So we know, using Casino Combat, that we want to enter the casino with a minimum of $300. That will allow us 3 $100 buy-ins, and let's set our positive exit at 8 units, or $80. So overall, we're entering the casino with $300, hoping for an overall win of $80. Now, for the second example, let's use TRG Wagering System 3, the Meta Martingale. With the Meta Martingale, each buy-in will be considered a tier. So if you hit a negative exit on the first tier, the second tier's buy-in will be twice that of the first. And if you hit a negative exit on the second tier, the third tier's buy-in will be twice that of the second. So in the Meta Martingale, the second and third tier is not necessarily going for the giant win, but we use them to recoup losses so that we can go back to our original win goal of $80 in this example. So at this point, I want to introduce a concept of desired percentage of return on the money you're wagering. So how much of a return are you hoping to achieve with the money you brought into the casino? Now, are you going to achieve a home run win with a total of $60 to gamble? Not likely. In using Casino Combat, you need to have the proper bankroll to expect the smaller and manageable wins that we're after. So back to our examples. Without using the Meta Martingale, we're hoping for an $80 win with the $300 you brought into the casino. So $80 is about 26.5% of $300. So we have a win goal of about 26.5% of our trip bankroll. So how about the Meta Martingale? Well, you're going to need a total of $700 for those 3 buy-ins or tiers, still looking to win 8 units or $80. So $80 is about 11.5% of 700. So now we have a win goal of 11.5%. This is significantly less, percentage-wise, than without the Meta Martingale. So maybe, from this point of view, the Meta Martingale could be seen as a more cautious approach. But what do we usually see in the casino? We see people coming into the casino with $100 or $200, looking to win $700 or $800. The Meta Martingale flips the script. Of course, this is just one way of looking at it. If you decide you want to play the Meta Martingale, you obviously need a larger bankroll to be able to afford the worst-case scenario third-tier loss, which will eventually happen. You also need what I've heard other gamblers refer to as a strong emotional bankroll. That is, you need to be able to psychologically handle that loss, even if it's not difficult financially. So there is that. So that's the end of my thoughts, my musings, and at the end of the day, I just wanted to offer a little food for thought. I appreciate you all listening. Yours truly, Lucky Drunk.
Padawan!
Oh, Anakin.
Master!
My young Padawan learner.
You're reckless, little one. You never would have made it as Obi-Wan's Padawan. But you might make it as mine.
Once again, big thank you to Lucky Drunk for taking the time to do that for us. Really good stuff there. Really, really good stuff. Really well done. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For our Padawan Parable this episode, and I am really excited about this one. This one hit me in the shower, actually. It hit me in the shower, and I dried off, and I ran down to the glorious Casino Combat Studios in parts unknown, and pressed record, and spun this off, and I really like this one. And then the one thing I want to tell you before we get into it is this is based on a true story. This is based on a very true story. I have taken some storytelling liberties just a little bit, but this is based on actual facts with some names and dates changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. The basis of this really happened, as told by, etc., etc. So here we have the Youngling, the Path, and the Vanishing Master. A Youngling approached a master of the Path as he was enjoying a sparkling water in a casino bar. "Master," he said, "I am ready. I want to walk the path that you walk. I want to be your Padawan. Will you teach me?" The master and the Youngling spoke at length. Finally, the master said, "All right, let's see if we can start you on the path. There are things you need to do to prepare. You can start today. While you are here, get a player's card. Go home. Learn the core concepts, including a wagering system. Decide your day's pay number. Speak to your partner. Put together an amount of money you can afford to lose and that you don't need to pay your bills. You will need to be able to make 3 attempts during a visit and have enough money for several visits. Decide how you are going to keep records and be accountable to someone or to something. Decide what totems and rituals you are going to use and start building those focus points on your next visit. They are your anchors to the path. Do not neglect them." While the master was speaking, the Youngling ordered a shot and a beer, then another. When the master finished speaking, the Youngling said, "I am ready to begin. I see the blackjack tables are $25 a hand. I have 10 bets. I'm going to go play some slots." The Youngling put $100 in a random slot machine and pressed max bet. After several spins, a bonus was activated, and the Youngling won $40. He continued playing, eventually losing all of his $100. The master followed him as he looked at various blackjack tables, eventually finding one full of people yelling and screaming. He wedged himself into the middle of the game, which paid 6 to 5 for a blackjack, and put his remaining $150 on the table. After losing 3 hands, he placed his remaining chips in the circle and received a pair of 8s with the dealers showing a 7. The table told him to split. They told him it was his best opportunity. It's what the book says. You always split 8s and aces. The Youngling had no money. He could not split. He hit and drew a 10 and busted. He turned and looked for the master. He didn't see him. He saw a woman looking at him. "Did you see where the master went?" he asked. The woman replied, "The older man in the vest with the ring?" "Yes," the Youngling said. "I'm going to be his Padawan. He's going to teach me to walk the path. I must find him. Where did he go?" "I do not know," said the woman, "but he gave me a message for you. He asked me to tell you that when the student is ready, the master appears. There is no master here today. There is no path here today." The young lion's favorite teacher says, "We have ears, say cheers." One of my favorite teachers says, "If you have ears, you should listen." Here ends the lesson.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Welcome to the most must-listen-to segment in casino lifestyle podcasting, the Virtual VIP Lounge. Our lounge is open, and we have the best virtual everything virtually all the time. The best virtual food and drink served in any virtual VIP lounge anywhere on the interwebs. Guaranteed or your money back. So our story to go with our sips today, and I am sitting here having a lovely still water on this very early morning as I get ready to send this episode out to all of you. And as always, please press pause. Particularly if you're after 5 o'clock, pour yourself some adult beverage, make a plate, have some snacks. The best thing about virtual VIP lounges is the food, the drink, and the friends. The old friends, the new friends, and the stories we all get to swap and share. And this one certainly falls in the category of something I would share with my friends in a virtual VIP lounge. My youngest son, the young squire, has been spending some time in South America, and he came back into town to take care of some business. And he's staying downtown near the casino. And he had some things shipped to our house, and he asked us to bring them to him, along with some paperwork. And we said, sure, we actually need to go to the casino and pick up a couple gifts. We'll pick you up, we'll take you to dinner, and then drop you back. It'll be a nice little quick evening. We walk into the casino, so we park, we get through the gates, we pull into VIP parking, we walk into the casino. We're getting tight on time. We're getting tight on things because he was running a little late And the gift giveaway is going to end in about 45 minutes. And the restaurant is going to close in about an hour and 45 minutes. We don't have a lot of time. And as we walk up to the security desk, because in this particular casino, if you are underage, you can't even get in the door. This is not like a Vegas casino or an Atlantic City casino where there are young people staying there, and as long as they're with an adult and on the right part of the carpeting and moving, it's okay. You are not even allowed through the door. You are not even allowed to cross the bridge into the casino proper if you are not of age. And he looks at me and he goes, well, they'll just take a picture of my ID, right? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I just use Apple Pay, Dad. I don't really carry money, and I don't really carry ID. I mean, I have a picture of my ID, but I don't carry my ID with me. And I'm thinking, kids, are you kidding me? What a parenting nightmare. Here we stand. I need to get inside. I want to get my free bets, which were substantial. I had about a third of a day's pay in free bets that are getting ready to expire. I wanted to get my gift. I'm hungry. It's late. And we're standing on the bridge looking at a 15-20-minute drive back to where he's staying and back again to where we are. And I said, you have no ID, no passport, no nothing. He goes, oh, it's all back at the house. I'm like, okay. And so it's like, all right, well, we have no choice. Either we're going to make this happen and you're not going to get asked for ID, or you're going to get asked for ID and we're just going to have to go someplace and grab some food and forget about the casino part of this. We just don't have any choices. And he looks young. He looks really young. He's under 25. He looks really young. But we have no choice but to try. And we come walking up to the podium, and my wife is in front of us, and he and I are having a bit of a conversation about some sports betting he made on the Super Bowl. And he's facing me. He's facing away from the guy who's at the podium. And as Mrs. TRG walks up, she opens her purse and stops, kind of blocking his view of us a little bit, and holds out her purse so he can see she's not bringing any contraband. And I go, hey, Joe, how you doing? And he nods at me, and he acts like he's going to ask for ID. And he pauses, and we just kind of keep walking. We just kind of move right past. And he decides he knows me, and I must know what I'm doing, and it must be, he doesn't ask. Just because of how we kind of staged this instinctively. And so we go to dinner, and we're having dinner, and about 10 minutes later, my son, the young squire, realizes how that all happened. And he says, hey, we pulled that off. We didn't even plan it. We just kind of did it. That was really brilliant, because I was talking and I was turned away from him, and Mom kind of distracted him, and then Dad just kind of said hi like we all belong here. That was really good. Go us, go team. We did really well. And we get home, and my wife and I are talking about it, and my wonderful wife, Mrs. TRG, the radiant goddess of casino combat, says, he's so cute. He thinks he participated. He thinks that we needed a plan. He doesn't realize that we just know casinos well enough that we just improvised that for his benefit. He's so cute. Please, tip your waitresses, tip your bartenders, tip your dealers. If you have a host, tip your host. Don't tip away your wins. I have spoken. Everything you heard here is true from a certain point of view. In 10 years, we may find out I was wrong about all of this. It's time for leaving, and I hope you understand I was born a ramblin' man. Love it, hate it, it don't matter. Please share with your family and friends. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you again for the gift of your time. The best part of the podcast is next, the Casino Combat Blues.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans, even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes, now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox, clean feels good.
Chronic spontaneous urticaria, or chronic hives with no known cause. It's so unpredictable. It's like playing pinball. Itchy, red bumps start on my arm, then my back. Sometimes my legs. Hives come out of nowhere. And it comes and goes. But I just found out about a treatment option at treatmyhives.com. Take that, chronic hives. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
City Empress, Casino Combat's ace.
There are profits in the casino tonight, I can feel it in my bones. I had a premonition, you should probably play alone. I know the house has an advantage, but that's part of the thrill. If we follow the core concepts, the chips begin to spill. So baby, here's your player's card, put your bankroll in your hand. Use just some of that money now, do it just the way we planned. Just follow the core concepts, and you could win several grand. Well, it's good if it goes down like that, don't have to play to lose. It's gambling as a business, the Casino Combat Blues. Casino Combat Blues. The dealers and the pit bosses, the security and the law, the winning and the losing and the tricks nobody saw. No matter if it's blackjack, roulette or craps, you gotta carry defense, cause you always carry cash. There's lots of shady characters, lots of dirty deals. Everybody has an alias, cause that's more fun we feel. It's the lure of winning money, it's got a very strong appeal. Perhaps you'd understand it better standing in my shoes. It's the ultimate enticement, it's the Casino Combat Blues. Casino Combat Blues. Whoa. You don't see it in the headlines, you don't hear it every day. No one's trying to stop us, and we don't need to go away. We can gamble in Atlantic City, we can gamble in LA, we can gamble out in Vegas. I mean, we're here to stay. Gambling's propping up the budgets of folks like me and you. You ask any casino manager, he'll say there's nothing he can do. From the pockets of the casino, right down to me and you. Me and you. It's a winning proposition and one you shouldn't refuse. It's just the core concepts, the Casino Combat Blues. Casino Combat Blues.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.